What's going on, guys? Zestran here with a kind of a different video, but still relevant to what I usually talk about, and that's video games. So Joe Rogan, you might know him, you might not. If you don't know him, he's probably most well known for his podcast, The Joe Rogan Experience, but he's also a stand-up comedian. He was the host of Fear Factor, and I think he's done a few TV shows and stuff. He also commentates on UFC, I think. Most people probably know him for his podcast. It's one of the most popular podcasts on the planet. And, I've watched it here and there. I haven't watched every episode. There's too many to watch all of them. And I only really watch when there's a guest that I care about on. But even then, I haven't watched in quite some time. But I guess recently on his podcast, I forget who the guest was, but whatever, somehow the topic of video games came up. And then Joe Rogan said this.
And video games are a real problem because they're fucking fun. Well, I have a real problem with them. And you do them and they're real exciting, but you don't get anywhere. You could learn jiu-jitsu. You get obsessed by jiu-jitsu. And then 3 years later, you're like an elite jiu-jitsu athlete. You're thinking like, I might be able to open my own school one day.
You got confidence.
Yeah, if I have 100 students and those 100 students are paying me X amount of dollars per month, I can make a living. That's the future. This way, you're doing something exciting and fun and you don't... Or you could just be playing fucking video games. 3 years later, you could be that same kid just playing video games, waiting for the next whatever the fuck game is, next Xbox game to come out, and you're gonna waste your time.
So basically what he said here made my dog very upset. So what he said here made a lot of people very upset, and there's a lot of people throwing out their takes about what he just said. People mad at him, stuff like that. Now I haven't looked at all the takes, only seen a few. And some people don't quite understand why he was saying this, because he said he's a gamer himself, like he plays games. I guess he was really into like Quake back in the day, and even more recently. I think that's actually part of where this take of his stands from. From my understanding, because again I haven't watched his full podcast, but from my understanding, what the point he was trying to get at was that just if that's all you do is just play video games, you're not doing anything else with your life. You're not studying or bettering yourself. It doesn't get you anywhere in life. It's a waste of time. And I think the key thing that made people upset is him saying it's a waste of time, which video games can and usually are a big waste of time. And that's from somebody who plays a lot of video games. I mean, look behind me. Look at all these fucking games I have. Something being a waste of time isn't necessarily a bad thing. I think it just depends on when you do it. Like if you're putting video games over other things that are important in life, work, school, family things, like you have kids and you're ignoring them to play video games, or you're letting relationships, like romantic relationships, or even just friend relationships, suffer or be damaged because you're too busy playing video games. I think that's just like any other thing. Like there's probably people who watch way too much TV and it affects their lives in a negative way. And that can be with video games, it can be with listening to music, it can be with building model cars. There's tons of things. I think that's what his point was getting at. I don't think it was necessarily video games are bad and a waste of time and nobody should be doing them. I mean, he did say they're a waste of time. Again, something being a waste of time isn't necessarily a bad thing. That's not a negative necessarily. It can be, and I think it depends on the way you use it. I think he worded it wrong. I think what he meant, because he's an example. So if you're really into jiu-jitsu, right, and you practice, and you realize it's like, what, I can make a living off this. If I open my own dojo and I start bringing in students and they pay me X amount of money, and then I can make a living. But it's almost verbatim what he said, I showed you the clip, and that makes sense. And yeah, you can kind of do that with video games, but not necessarily. You can be really good at video games, but that doesn't necessarily apply to any kind of life skill. And yeah, sure, there's professional gamers, people who, they're esports and professional YouTubers and streamers and stuff like that, and they can make a living, but that's not going to be everybody. And a lot of that has to do with luck. I mean, I guess a lot of things has to do with luck, but I don't know, I just feel like it's different. I don't think his take was against video games, or even saying video games are a waste of time, or against video games, because I think video games can be, most times, a massive waste of time. But some people just need a waste of time, they got nothing going on at the moment, or they need a distraction from life, especially during everything going on this year. So it's there can be a positive thing. Sometimes just wasting a little bit of time is a good thing. But I don't know, I could just be flat out wrong here. Maybe Joe Rogan is now canceled by gamers. I don't know. But overall, I don't think his take or opinion was necessarily wrong. Again, video games can be a big waste of time, and they can be productive too. You can look at some people like Ninja or something like that, where they're multi-millionaires from playing video games. But that's not going to be everybody. But again, I think it also depends on how you do it. You know, like I said, I play a lot of video games, but I still go to work. I still pay my bills. I still pay attention to things that need to be done. You know, I don't really have much of a social life, to be fair, but I don't like just give up on my social life to play video games and all things like and all sorts of things like that. But I don't know, overall, I don't think that this was that controversial of an opinion, and I think it stems just from himself having a problem with video games, as he's talked about before, where he would just like play Quake like all day and it like ruined his life. Not ruined his life, but like it messed him up for a while. So I think that might be what this kind of stems from, but I don't know. I could be completely wrong. I could be misinterpreting his point. Maybe he just thinks people who play video games are losers. I don't think that's the case, but maybe that's what he means, and I could be completely wrong in what I'm saying right now, but I don't think I am. But let me know what you guys think about what Joe Rogan said, and that's about it. So thank you guys for watching, and I'll see you guys next time.